Right, so it is twilight and it is day 47 of my New Year's tree planting challenge thing. So let's get on with it. Right, so today I'm kind of putting not so much my money but my jackfruit seedlings where my mouth is. So I mentioned in a previous video that the Winterthorn, Faidherbia albida, is often planted as a shelter plant for other more light sensitive crops because it gains its leaves when a lot of other trees are losing their leaves, so it can provide a little bit of shade during the dry season when a lot of things want more shade than they're normally getting. Now, jackfruits are one of, in my experience, the most shade requiring trees. I mean, they are one of several of our fruit trees which are from tropical forests. This is not the sort of level of shade you get in a tropical forest, but eventually some of the other small trees that are around here, including ones I planted and ones that are coming up by themselves, should end up giving a more dense shade. But for now, between a sicklebush, which you will be seeing on the left-hand side of the screen, and a winterthorn, which you'll be seeing on the right-hand side of the screen, there should be year-round moderate shading for this jackfruit. And if I can keep it watered, hopefully this will work quite well, and if it does, then I'll be doing that pairing again, because the sicklebush has leaves when everything has leaves, but they're quite small, light leaves, so it's not too dense a shade, whereas the winterthorn, again, similar sized leaves, but very different time of year, and both of them are nitrogen fixers, so both of them should be fertilizing and improving the soil as the little jackfruit comes up. However, just to be on the safe side with making sure it stays relatively sheltered, I am going a little bit overboard on the companion planting with this one. So it's getting several cuttings off the Calico marmorata, the penwiper calico, which should spread out quite nicely before the end of the rains and start covering up its base. It's also getting 3 aloe arborescens around it in very much the same way as the sausage tree did, so they're close to, they should be stopping any wind really moving too close to the base of it, keeping that base from drying out while those little roots are getting established. And then I'm putting on the north side, which is where the dry season sun will be mostly coming from, and on the west side, which is where the hotter afternoon sun comes from, I'm putting some pieces of the Euphorbia tithymaloides, the devil's backbone, and then I'm putting 3 dracaenas that are not the standard dracaena. I had in my head that they were a cultivar of Dracaena fragrans, but I'm not sure, so I'll put the actual name up on screen. This is one I don't usually use, it's a little bit more shade sensitive, but I thought, you know, if I'm going to trust that the jackfruit isn't going to suffer too much here, this one shouldn't suffer too much either. Okay, so then the other 2 trees I'm putting in today, because why put 1 when you can put 3, are a couple more of my Litchi seedlings, which are in bags which are fine for now, but once it dries out they won't hold water very well, and these will kind of be limited in how much they can grow, so I thought they're coming up nicely. They seem to be getting reasonably sun hardy. They're actually getting afternoon sun and still growing, so I'm quite pleased with these little ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be popping them in on the edge of some sicklebush and guava sort of thicket in this same little section of the sicklebush field. And with them I'm going much more standard with the planting, so we're going with the standard Dracaena fragrans, Aloe cameroni, Calico fetchinkoi, and a little bit more again of the Euphorbia tithymaloides, just strategically placed to give a little bit of extra shade. Again, this is one that is so easy to propagate from cutting, as are all these companion plants actually. So easy to propagate from cutting that if it gets out of hand, it's still a perfectly good source to cut it down and move it somewhere else, and then the tree will have had that support to begin with, and when it doesn't need it, it's gone. Right, so that should be it for this evening. Tune in tomorrow, for which I'm sure I had a plan, but I can't remember it right now.